Welcome to Regarding Automobiles. My name is Phil, and today we're going to be replacing this cooling line, which you may never have even thought about, with hopefully something custom. So let's get started. Regarding Automobiles, yeah. These are the steel cooling lines that run behind the engine, and they sort of run from the main lines, the reservoir that go to the radiator and everything. They run behind the engine and go into the oil cooler. So this is actually where the coolant goes to keep your oil cool. And when I first pulled out the engine, I thought, well, you know, it's kind of flaked rust all over it. I'll just hit it with some Scotch-Brite while I'm waiting for my other parts and repaint it and make it look nice. Well, lo and behold, we've got actual holes in it. Had rusted right through. Now, I have a couple of options here. I could probably just JB weld it, but there's actually a lot of tiny little holes. So I suspect that there's a lot of rust on this and maybe on the inside as well. Called up BMW and they wanted $340 for one of these, which seems like a lot. Talked to Spiritus Pseudo. He mentioned that maybe I should look at some hydraulic supply stores and maybe I could do it with some braided line. Did look around, found some stuff, but what I ended up getting, I got this kit off of Amazon, which is some braided hose and a bunch of AN fittings. Yes, I can just buy the actual replacement, and that's one way to do it, but I've got lots of time while I'm waiting for parts. So why not do something fun and custom, because that's really what it's all about, right? All right, let's do it. So first thing is to get these industrial ones that I got. They're not fancy looking, but I got them at an industrial supply shop. Again, AN10, it's just a standard size. And get them into the soft lines of the existing system. I checked out the lines that are in there. They look fine, so I'm not going to replace them. So those are the existing lines with the new AN10 connectors in them. Just to show you where they are. Coolant tanks. There they are. Okay, so there's one, and that's the other one. Okay, so now we have two templates for how long this has to be. Now the actual hose here obviously is a lot thicker, but the interior is the same. And this gives, and it's a little more flexible. So I need to do, let me think here. So when I do cut it, this is gonna go on. So I need to add, inside here there's like a, it goes in and then there's a stop. So I'm gonna need to add that to the end. But then this will stick out that much further. So in the end, this is probably add some length. Okay. This obviously twists and turns. There's nothing more than a 90, so there should be no problem for this. It is steel, by the way, on the inside. It's just black on the outside, but it is steel on the inside. So this should have no problem hitting those angles. All right, well, let's just try one. Okay, so we have to get the fitting, the bottom of the fitting, over this. And you can see that's kind of frayed. So the first thing we're gonna do is just cut a nice clean cut there. Okay, so I've got it taped off here. Taped off and in the clamp. You can see it better. Now I'm just gonna cut it straight through. Okay, somewhat frayed, but still good. Okay, here comes the second try. Does let off some fumes, so I've switched to full PPE. YouTube safety police, not gonna comment on me. Okay, a little straighter that time. Can I get all this in there? Apparently, you just brute force this on. Which I don't really understand because it doesn't look like it's gonna fit at all. Okay, so that's right into the center, and right up to the stop. There's a stop inside here. That's on. And then a little bit of assembly lube. Okay. Wow. Okay. And that's a 25, and it's not big enough. Maybe this is why they have those specialty Ann wrenches. I don't want to damage it. I might go grab one of those. Okay, rather than going get the specialized wrench just for the AN fittings, I just went and got a 27mm wrench, which I didn't own before because it's pretty big. And I'll just put some tape on it so it doesn't mark, because these are aluminum. Obviously we don't want to put too much pressure on them, but from what I read, you don't put that much pressure on them anyway. And for cheaper than the specialized tool, I could get a 27-inch socket and a 27-inch wrench, and I can just do it like this. This part spins independently. Obviously that is what screws on to the other connector, and then I just need to hold this while I screw this piece in, like hold the bottom piece while I screw this in. And from what I've read, you just need them to touch. You don't need to like put a lot of pressure on it. Okay. Okay, just put some tape on it for the last tightening. One down. Yeah, this works a lot better if I cut a little slower. Like I don't try and force it, because then the hose moves around. So that's a pretty clean cut. I'll try and give you a good view inside here. So there's a stopper in there, so you just screw it on until it hits that stopper. And same thing again. So that's one complete, and I'll just do the same for the other one, and then just run some, coolant through there and clean out any dust that might be in there. But yeah, so far so good. This kit, I'm just using the straight connectors on the end of the hoses, but it did come with other angles, like 45, just like a 180, I guess, and a 90. So you can really make hoses any way you want. And the nice thing is I'm gonna have a lot left over, so if I need to make any in the future, then I have extra connectors. And these are universal, so I can just buy new connectors from any site. Now I just showed you all those connectors, and it got me to thinking that the oil filter housing sits on the engine, and this is actually the original tube that came out of it. And it immediately sort of curves away, back down, away from it. So my new plan, okay, these pieces of hose are what come off of the actual oil cooler. One of them is kind of nasty, and I have two of them, but they're both kind of nasty at the end of it. So I had an extra piece of silicone tube here, and I just made this. And what I'll do is I'll make the second line, instead of straight ahead, like this one, I'll use one of the 90s, and it should all connect up. So in the end, it'll look kind of like this. The only question is, do I have enough room for this when the engine's in? I can always shorten this piece right here. Just cut a little bit off, because I don't know if I need all of this. So I can just get a little section here. It's basically just acting as a coupler. But yeah, I think it'll work. Okay, that's 2 custom cooling lines. And now, because of the ones I did earlier, these are actually quite easy to install. I just twist them on. Yeah, I think that'll work out well. Okay, so here they are. Nice and flexible. And I've got some metal wire or cable ties that I can reattach them into the same spot where the factory ones were. And this is what it'll look like coming out of the oil cooler eventually. So that's it. Our custom cooling lines have been created. The only worry now is whether or not there's going to be enough room when I put the engine in. But the couplers can be changed, or the tubes can be changed in length a little bit. It's also very bendy. I'm not too worried about that at all. Those of you who have been watching for a while may or may not know that I've been waiting for a clutch that I ordered, I believe, back in October. And it finally arrived. We're just moving into February and it arrived. So that means the next time you see one of my videos, it is going to be me working on the transmission and getting it reattached to the engine. And then after that, well, engine goes back in the car and we get it running. So this summer, guaranteed, this car is running. I have months to get this thing. Either it explodes and I fire it into the sun, or I get it running and I'm able to drive it this summer. So that's it for today. Check out the other videos on the channel, do all these things. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.